Good day, Chief here for one of my rare Chief coffee chats. Yesterday I was a little hot and bothered, so to speak. I'm talking about American politicians. This American politician and this American politician and this one have all said different things about ending the special military operation that's taking place in Ukraine. I'm a little upset with Pete Hegseth, who said, oh, Ukraine's going to have to give up some of their land. No. You do not reward the aggressor in this conflict. One, if you let Putin keep any of the land, even the Donbass and the Luhansk Oblasts, as the provinces of the country Ukraine are called, you set a precedent. You go to war, you get land. Even if you're the so-called loser, even though you were the aggressor. Because generally when you attack, that's what you generally demand, because not once but twice Finland has lost land to the USSR, the former Russian title. They lost some land in one major city in the Winter War of 1939, and then when Germany invaded Russia, Finland thought, we can get our land back. But then in 43, I think it was, middle of 43, they realized that Germany was not going to win the war, so they decided that they would do a separate peace with Russia and told the German units in Finland, get out, we are signing a peace treaty. We don't want to lose our whole entire country again to Russia, because at one time Finland was part of Russia. They broke away during the Russian Revolution and stayed away and wanted to remain that way. Plus, since World War II, we really haven't had a two-country war where one country fought another country and said, okay, we won the war, we're going to occupy this much of your land. Haven't had that. Now, if our politicians don't look at it, we're setting a precedent that happened 80, 90 years ago when some other person said, oh, I want the Sudeten land, which was part of Czechoslovakia. And that was, yes, Czechoslovakia was a one solid country. It wasn't Czech Republic and Slovakia at that time. And we had, what was it, Neville Chamberlain, that went over and signed a piece of paper with this person we can't talk about, even though he's part of history. And he said, yes, we have peace in our time. Yeah, 1 year later, the world was almost at total war. Took a few years for that to actually happen because the U.S. wasn't involved until late 1941. So we're setting a precedent of what happened over that time. You let a guy do a land snatch, to quote from Blazing Saddles, and you let him keep it, and you sign a piece of paper saying, oh, he won't do this again. No, we've already signed that piece of paper, and Putin already grabbed the Crimean Oblasts, and even though there was an agreement, if you look it up, I can't remember the name of it right now, that was signed during Obama's term, that because what the deal was is that Ukraine all of a sudden became the third largest nation to have a lot of nuclear. So we looked at it and we said, nope, Ukraine, you're a little reckless. We don't want you to have nukes. So we'll send, I think, half of them to Russia, and the other half, I think, got destroyed or de-weaponized. I don't remember exactly. And then that was signed by Russia, Great Britain, US, and Ukraine, with the agreement that if Russia pulls anything, they will be punished. Well, they pulled something and they were not punished. They took Crimea. So, and we've all heard that Putin stands down when you show strength. So regardless who's at this bargaining table, which should be Ukraine and Russia at a minimum, and even if President Trump wants to end this war, you tell Putin, you were the aggressor, you were the bad person, you committed all these crimes, which is true, you committed a lot of war crimes, and oh, by the way, you destroyed a lot of cities in these provinces that you want. I mean, Bakhmut was a very large city, now probably 90% destroyed. All the people are gone, and plus he's lost probably a generation of young men. So you don't even have the people to populate, because it seems like all of us Western nations have a low birth rate. That's something else I have to talk about later on. So now it's like, no, Russia, you were the aggressor. You're not going to create the Russian Empire. And you have to be an emperor to have an empire. Yeah, titles go with things, because you have to have a king to have a kingdom, and you have to have a queen to have a queendom, and whatever, all the way up and down the food chain. And we don't even have it anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of hereditary titles in Great Britain or the United Kingdom in order to have a kingdom. But then again, the king and the queen that serve there are figureheads. They don't have the true right to rule. So we don't even have a real king that rules over his nation, so to speak. So tell Putin you can't have any land, period. You may get some of your money back that we froze, but we're going to use some of that money to rebuild parts of Ukraine that you destroyed. So of all the videos I've ever done, I hope this one goes, what do they say, viral? Because historically, you can't let an aggressor who, even if you call this a Pyrrhic victory or a draw, or we have two losers, you don't reward the aggressor with land, especially when he did not outright win the war. He doesn't get to keep anything, and yes, he has to give Crimea back, because he wants 4 provinces: Donbass, Lugansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. And he only has 2 capitals. He has Lugansk and Donbass. So he doesn't even have the other 2 capitals of the Oblasts that he wants. Of course, he's already got all of Crimea. So I was really mad with hearing all the Ukraine's not going to be in part, Putin, and then, no. There's too many rumors going around. But me, as a former military member, me as a military historian, so to speak, no, I haven't written any thesis, but I've studied military history all my life. I'm one of those baby boomers that, yeah, soldier this, soldier that, armed forces this, armed forces that. And I've studied European wars, American wars, and now with all the channels, I'm watching a lot of other history. And we haven't, like I said, since World War II, since we split up all, because look at Germany. We split up parts of Germany. They were truly one of the last countries to lose land, because they had to give some land to Poland, because once again, Russia took the eastern half of Poland during the outbreak of World War I. They waited like 2 weeks. They attacked the eastern side of Poland, and they kept it. So they're used to grabbing land and not giving it back. So when Poland was going to become a nation again, we looked at Germany and former Eastern Prussia, which no longer exists because it became part of Poland. Parts of Germany became Poland, but then again, the races between those provinces have been well mixed, because there's even parts of Ukraine now that used to be part of Poland that are now part of Ukraine, and there's still a somewhat mixed population. And recently watched some videos on the atrocities in the 1920s between the Polish people and the Ukrainian people. Wow. And then people talk about genocides. I mean, mean, they went at each other very violently. But like I said, no land should go to Russia. You'll get some of your money back. We're not going to help you rebuild your economy. We're going to help Ukraine rebuild theirs. I don't care if they don't get to join NATO or not. That doesn't bother me. And no, you don't put a pro-Russian government in Ukraine. Now, a lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, Chief, you don't have any stake in this. Yeah, I do. I either have or had a fiance. We were going to get married 2022. I have lost contact with her in 2023. I can't wait for the war to end so I can go over and figure out what the heck happened to her. I have friends that run a hotel in Kiev City. They have been looking for her too and have not found her. So yes, I have a stake in this. I will end it there on a sad note, so to speak. But like I said, no land to Putin. He gives up everything. Plus, he's about ready to collapse anything. If you watch the news, it's like he's going to collapse today, tomorrow, the next day. But whatever. If he falls apart, maybe the Russians will all run away from the border like they did during the First World War in 1917 when all the Russian troops just basically left the fighting and Germany rolled through Russia in 1917. This is Chief out. Freedom's not free. Hope this goes viral.